Volcanoes, written by Chuck Garofano. Table of Table of Contents: The Eruption of Vesuvius at page 4, People and Volcanoes at page 8, where and why volcanoes form at page 10, composite volcanoes at page 14, shield volcanoes at page 18, cinder cones and lava domes at page 20, conclusion at page 22, and glossary at page 23. The eruption of Vesuvius. Few people in the Roman city of Pompeii paid much attention to the earthquakes that began shaking the region in 79 CE. They suffered through seismic activity in the past and rebuilt the city whenever any significant damage happened. Usually, though, the earthquakes were minor and people had grown accustomed to them. The residents of Pompeii loved the beautiful city and would not leave just because the ground occasionally shook or a building fell down. No one connected the trampling ground with the wisps of smoke that steadily hissed from nearby Mount Vesuvius. After all, people had lived in Pompeii for centuries without even witnessing a volcano eruption. The slopes of Mount Vesuvius were carpeted with trees, flowers, and grass. It had been 1,000 years since the volcano had erupted, so most people assumed that it was dormant or even extinct. But everything changed on August 24th around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Suddenly, a huge explosion shook the area around the mountain. Dust, ash, and melted rocks spilled from the summit of the volcano, darkening the sky. This dust, ash, and stone, collectively known as tephra, blanketed the city, covering the ground as far away as 16 kilometers from the mountain. By 3 o'clock, lava began pouring from the mouth of the volcano, destroying everything in its path. By 6 o'clock, the cloud of dust and ash had ascended to a height of 32 kilometers, and the powerful energy inside it generated lightning bolts. The ash continued to fall over the area, covering the ground to a depth of 1 meter. Buildings collapsed under the weight of the falling debris. People in the cities surrounding Mount Vesuvius tried to flee as the volcano demolished their homes and farms. They gathered the most portable treasures and hurried their families away from the disaster. Some people tried to walk over the thick layers of ash, but the ash was so deep and hot that many people died. Others were struck and killed by stones falling from the dark sky. Many choked to death on the ash, and dust clogged air. Around midnight, the crisis grew even worse. The massive cloud of ash, poisonous gases, glowing hot dust, and smoke had become so huge and heavy that it could no longer stay in the air. The cloud collapsed into a pyroclastic flow, racing down the mountain at speeds of up to 500 kilometers per hour, 310 miles per hour. Here's a picture of a plaster cast of the body of an inhabitant of Pompeii who died during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Do you know, Pompeii, a city not far from Mount Vesuvius, was completely buried by a surge cloud. Many died under the surge cloud, but as their bodies decayed, they left as pockets in the hardened ash and markers around them. These air pockets preserved the exact shapes of the bodies they once contained. Archaeologists filled the holes with plaster to make casts showing how the people looked when they died. This was Mount Vesuvius' first surge cloud. Within a few moments, people in the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum were scorched and buried by the collapsing ground. As more dust and ash below from the volcano, more surge clouds followed. When the eruption was over, 2 cities of the Roman Empire were completely buried, and wiped off the face of the earth. They would not be found again for more than 1,000 years. What you just read is an account of a real event, but how did it happen? What could cause such a violent explosion? And if volcanoes are so dangerous, why do people choose to live near them? People and volcanoes. People live near volcanoes for many reasons. They often find nutrient-rich soil for farming in these regions or wonderful hot springs where they can take warm baths. Still, they have learned to respect volcanoes. Long ago, people had no way to scientifically predict or understand volcanoes, but volcanoes were part of their beliefs, traditions, and lore. For instance, in indigenous Hawaiian culture, there are legends about the goddess Pele, whose anger caused volcanoes to erupt. Those types of volcanic glass are named in honor of this goddess, such as Pele's hair and Pele's tears. Devil's Tower is an extinct volcano in Wyoming that is important to many indigenous tribes of the Great Plains. The Lakota call it Bear Lodge, while the Kiowa call it Tree Rock. It is considered a sacred place of creation and renewal. In ancient Greece and Rome, people believed volcanoes were the forges where lightning bolts were made. The word volcano comes from the name of the Roman god Vulcan, who made the lightning bolts. Even today, volcanologists say the volcanoes smell like a black mist forge. In Japanese Shinto and Buddhist traditions, Mount Fuji is considered a stairway to another world and the spiritual home of Konohana, a Shinto deity. It is sacred center of both pilgrimage and art in Japan. While volcanoes remain spiritually significant in many cultures, today's scientists are also able to use tools to learn more about how they develop, and function. Scientists can even predict when volcanoes will next erupt. Where and why volcanoes from? The first volcanoes appeared about 3.5 billion years ago. They cover vast areas with hot lava that spewed up from deep within Earth. Earth's hard surface or crust is made of many enormous sheets of rock called tectonic plates. Some plates make up the continents, while others make up the ocean floors. Just under the surface of the plates, Earth is extremely hot, so hot that rock melts into a liquid called magma. Magma is about 1,200 degrees Celsius. Sometimes the magma works its way up to the surface and seeps out through cracks in the crust. Scientists estimate that more than 1,500 different volcanoes have erupted in the last 10,000 years. Every year, about 35 or 40 volcanoes erupt at various places around the world. Sometimes, observers are able to see only a small amount of smoke or steam emerging from an erupting volcano. Some volcanoes are always erupting, but they do it very slowly. Others, like Vesuvius, can remain quiet for thousands of years between eruptions. Volcanoes usually form at the edges of the tectonic plates. The plates are slowly floating on the thick liquid magma underneath them. The various plates each move in different directions, crashing into, pulling away from, or grating past other plates. As the huge plates slide and rub against each other, their movement creates large cracks in the crust. As some of these cracks, the magma breaks through to form volcanoes. There are at least 500 active volcanoes in the world, most of which are located near the edges of tectonic plates. The edge of the Pacific Ocean plate is a particularly dense volcanic region known as the Ring of Fire. Another notably active volcanic region runs along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a mountain chain in the Atlantic Ocean. Two plates are drifting apart in the Atlantic Ocean, allowing magma to seep up through the ocean floor, where it accumulates. Over time, the magma can build up and create mountains so tall that they emerge from the water. The island country of Iceland sits atop the summits of large volcanoes of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Other volcanoes are located in areas far from the edges of the plates. The islands of Hawaii are in the center of the Pacific Ocean plate. They are not located above a hot spot, a place where hot magma sits very close to the surface of Earth's crust. Sometimes the magma creates a new island, but the process is very gradual, taking tens of thousands of years. In Wyoming's Yellowstone National Park, which is located in the middle of the North American plate, an underground hot spot sits directly below underground lakes and waterways. The magma heats up the ground, the water, creating hot springs and geysers that shoot water high into the air. Different volcanoes erupt in different ways, depending on where and why the volcano forms. Some volcanoes erupt peacefully and slowly, while others suddenly explode with the force of many atomic bombs. Let's examine different kinds of volcanoes and learn how they erupt. Composite volcanoes. Mount Vesuvius, which you read about earlier in this book, is a composite volcano on the west coast of southern Italy. Composite volcanoes are explosive volcanoes. The eruptions can be extremely violent and destructive. Also called stratovolcanoes, they're the most common type of volcano. Composite volcanoes are usually large mountains with steep sides and evenly shaped peaks, often with a bowl-shaped crater at the top. The crater is a hollow area where the magma, hot gases, and ash come out. Do you know when Mount St. when Mount St. Helens in Washington state erupted on May 18, 1980, 63 people died and 311 square kilometers of forest were flattened by hot winds that blew down the mountainside. Most composite volcanoes occur where the magma near the surface is thick and slow-moving. Magma moves toward the surface in tubes called vents. When the magma is unusually thick, it can cool and harden inside a vent, plugging the vent and trapping the magma below. Because the hidden gases beneath the plugged vent have nowhere to go, the pressure slowly begins to increase. Eventually, the pressure becomes so great that it reaches a critical level and the volcano explodes. Sometimes the explosion is so violent that the whole mountain is destroyed in the blast. When Washington State's mountain St. Helens erupted in 1980, the entire northern side of the mountain was obliterated. When composite volcanoes erupt, they send massive clouds of dust, ash, smoke, hot gas, and rock into the air. These clouds rise for many kilometers, turning the sky black and raining ash onto the ground. When a cloud of debris becomes too dense to remain in the air, it collapses in a violent surge cloud. Many composite volcanoes are very tall, and they often capped with ice and snow. In an instant, an explosion can melt all the ice and snow, sending a flood of water, mud, and rock racing down the mountain at up to 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour. Do you know the Klamath people in southern Oregon have passed down a legend about the origin of Cradle Lake? According to their tradition, you can read more here, but I think I will read the rest of it because we have several pages left. Some volcanoes' ash clouds are so huge that they send ash and dust traveling around the world, blocking out sunlight and cooling the entire planet. After the 1815 eruption of Tambora, a volcano in Indonesia, people living far away in North America experienced a cold, snowy summer. Sometimes an entire underground lake of magma can pour out of a composite volcano, leaving a huge empty space below. With nothing to support it, the surface collapses into the empty chamber, leaving a large bowl-shaped basin called a caldera. Calderas can measure as much as 100 kilometers, 62 miles from side to side. Over time, they often fill with water, creating large lakes. Composite volcanoes can destroy huge forests, bury entire cities, and even result in human deaths. These volcanoes are very dangerous because they often remain quiet for hundreds of years between eruptions. People forget the volcano might erupt, and they build their homes dangerously close to the mountain. Shield volcanoes. You may have seen a video of bright orange lava flowing or spraying from the top of a volcano. The lava, which is very runny, flows smoothly and quickly, moving like water in a stream. The lava spreads down over the land before slowly hardening and building up. This type of lava comes from a shield volcano. Shield volcanoes usually have gentle, smooth mountain slope in the shape of shields. Eruptions of shield volcanoes are usually gentle rather than explosive, although the lava flows can still destroy roads, homes, and forests. Sometimes a shield volcano contains hot gases or steam that sprays from the crater, creating a bright lava fountain. Since the paths of the lava flows unstable and predictable, scientists are often able to get very close to study them. Shield volcano can remain quietly active for long periods of time and can grow to become extremely large in the process. Mount Mauna Loa on Hawaii is the tallest volcano in the world, rising 9,170 meters from its base on the seafloor, making it taller than Mount Everest. Oh, really? However, even Mauna Loa seems tiny when compared to the largest known volcano in our solar system, Olympus Mons on Mars. This enormous Martian shield volcano stands to 27 kilometers in height. There's several pages left, which is 23, right? So Cinder cones and lava domes. Some volcanoes are not active long enough to form large mountains. Instead, they may just spray small bits of lava into the air for brief periods of time. The small lava chunks and bits of ash harden into lightweight black rocks called cinders. The cinders pile up around the vent into a cone-shaped hill with a crater at the top. Such hills are called cinder cones. Brand new volcanoes that suddenly appear often form cinder cones. Other cinder cones pile up inside the craters or crateras of larger, older volcanoes. Most cinder cones erupt only once. Because cinder cones are made of loose rocks, they usually erode quickly in the wind and rain. Lava domes also result from small, brief eruptions, but the lava that forms these structures is a thick, pasty liquid that oozes from the vent and quickly hardens. Sometimes, more lava pushes up and expands through the center of the dome, cracking the outside. These domes often form in areas with other volcanic activity. They are often found in craters and crateras of larger volcanoes. Like composite volcanoes, lava domes often explode violently. Conclusion: volcanoes are the most spectacular evidence we have that Earth is a changing planet. Lava pouring from a volcanic vent creates new rock and new land. Volcanic ash makes extremely fertile soil that is useful for farming. In some places, people use the geothermal energy from volcanoes to run power plants and produce electricity. Some people even live inside volcanoes. Rabaul, Papua New Guinea, is a port city built close to an active volcano that erupts periodically. Volcanic mountains, including Mount Fuji in Japan, Mount Rainier in Washington, and Mauna Loa in Hawaii, are some of the most recognizable and beautiful mountains in the world. It is no wonder that humans often choose to live near volcanoes, but we should always remember that volcanoes can be dangerous. Volcanoes are home to some of the Earth's most powerful forces. Here are some new words. First, we have accumulate, mean builds up or collects over time, increases gradually. Below mean budge and swell down in response to wind. Caldera or Sarera is a large bowl-shaped basin where land has collapsed into an empty magma chamber. Cinders are lightweight black rocks or pebbles formed by small pieces of flying lava and ash. Crater is a bowl-shaped hollow area in volcano where lava, ash, and gases come out. Debris is scattered pieces of something that are left after the rest had gone or been destroyed, dormant quiet for many hundreds of years. Forges eat hot fires when metal is melted to be shaped by blacksmiths. Geothermal geysers is springs that shoot out jets or heat water and steam. Obliterated means completely destroyed. Pyroclastic is a very hot mixture of rocks, water, and gases that moves rapidly in response to gravity. Vents is openings in Earth's crust through which magma and gases emerge. That's it.
Good job!
So now let's do the quiz to see whether or not I understand the book. The two details that support the main idea of the shield volcanoes. Cinder cones and lava domes. What volcanic features sometimes occur inside the craters of active volcanoes? Is it lava domes or cinder cones? Both of them, right? Volcanoes form when magma from deep inside Earth breaks through the crust to the surface. Magma is trees and plants. No, it's actually melted rock. What is surge cloud? A cloud with superheated gas on the ground. Lightning surges. How Hawaii's and Yellowstone National Park lie. Composite volcanoes. Which of the following are typical characteristics of composite volcanoes? Bowl-shaped craters, large mountains. What has resulted from large volcanic ash clouds? what is dormant means. This question depends on your own opinion, but for me, I think the positive impacts of volcano is that it create like very fertile and rich soil to support farming and agriculture. It also provides a lot of habitat for people and other plants, but the negative impacts of volcanoes are it is extremely destructive, and it can destroy like millions of homes and on its path. What I mean, so yeah, that's what I think.
Close. Let's practice and try again.
5.
Click on the items with
Oh
the
my goodness, I can't believe that I don't understand anything at all because. Yeah, but I'll try my best. So let me see what the main idea of the session title. So I've just choose like their B, right? So then A. Next is forms. I remember I chose B. Next, search cloud is a cloud of gas and ash. It is a tropical pot of many volcanic geysers. What is result from large volcanic ash clouds? Completely darkness around the world. Oh, I'm sorry. It resulted from
You passed, but we can still click on the items with
Yellowstone National Park. It's not volcanic geysers, not composite volcanoes, and tropical islands. Oh,
awesome. You are so click on the items with the
oh my god, it's so annoying. I don't remember that detail, you know. So it's hotspot. Yeah,
What?
Is it both?
No way. You got a perfect score. I'm impressed.
Is it both like in the Ring of Fire? Yeah, I remember it now. God, I don't remember it while doing this. What a shame, but yeah. So see you tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.